Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs, explore the road ahead for them and their companies, and go into the details of showing you what they do. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Ethan Dowie, the CEO of Indigo Promotions. Ethan, a Rider University grad and a young entrepreneur, has built a standout company in the branded merchandise space while also founding Dowie Corp, a nonprofit supporting kids with cancer through sports. He's here to share how he's turning creative merchandise into a tool for business growth and community impact. We'll explore his founding story, how Indigo Promotions is shaking up the promotional products industry, and his vision for scaling this dynamic business. So let's dive right in. Ethan, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you very much for having me, Jay. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I would love to start at the top for our listeners here, Ethan. Take us back to the beginning. What specific problem in the branded merchandise or promotional products landscape, maybe around quality or creativity, inspired you to start Indigo Promotions?
I mean, for me, out of college, I had a job. The whole goal while I was there was let me just find a problem to solve and then start a company to solve that problem. That was really the whole my day to day.
Yeah.
Every hour I was at this place, I was like, I am looking for a problem. The second I find it, I'm going to jump on it. And we ordered a lot of merchandise from a various amount of vendors. And every time I just felt like there was always issues. It was either there were holes in the garments,
Right.
something got printed wrong, colors were incorrect, they weren't fun to talk to. It wasn't fun at all. There was no good vibe with ordering the merch. It was like very transactional. Give me your money, we'll ship stuff incorrectly, and then we'll move on to the next project. So for me, I was like, we're paying them a lot of money for these items, and they're not doing a very good job. So it was really as simple. It might have been a little naive, but for me, I just thought I feel like I could do a better job. I think I know a decent amount about merch and can figure it out along the way. And that's what Indigo Promotions was born from.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's kind of a trial and error, right? And you experience the downsides of working with a company that really didn't care about their customers and you were able to take advantage. So that's incredible to hear. Tell us about your background. Obviously, that's being in university and going through and looking for problems was a big factor for you there, but you also have that nonprofit, right? So is that another experience that you had that really shaped wanting to launch a company?
Yeah, Dowie Corp was always very special to me. I founded that when I was a junior in college, and it was awesome because it gave me like a little fast track into the business world. So for me, I worked 10th grade, 10th, my sophomore year of college, I had worked at a summer camp for kids with cancer. And it was just this eye-opening, event of seeing all these kids challenged with such horrible health issues, and they still showed up every day with a smiling face to camp. And I was like, oh, that's freaking like, how can I ever be negative about anything in my day to day with them dealing with that and still being able to have fun? And then from there, I was like, I need to find some way to give back to them in a fun, energetic way. And Dowie Corp was my solution to that. And it kind of rallied the community in my hometown of around these events to help solve this problem of donating to kids with cancer. And what was cool about it was I got this fast track into the business world because all of a sudden I had vendors that were sponsoring the event. They were giving me money. I was talking on the phone with people trying to get them to donate more. I was trying to get people to sign up. And all of a sudden I went from not having any business experience to, whoa, we got a lot going on right now and it's all involving me. So
Yeah.
I always look back and it's just like I laugh at it now when I was so inexperienced of how to handle anything, but I still take lessons from that into Indigo's day to day, and that's what I love.
Beautiful. So talking about Indigo, talk about a little bit how the offer has evolved with Indigo, right? How has what you provided in the beginning, like your custom apparel or your event swag and who you serve, how's that changed since you first started?
Well, it's all knowledge. I think at the beginning, the rite of passage for any business is we will take an order from anybody. I don't care what you're doing, but if you're giving me money, I am all for it and we'll
Yep.
figure it out later. So I feel like that for me, year one was just, dude, I got to find some clients. And I just was cold calling. I was cold calling for days, trying to talk to anybody that would listen of buying my stuff. Who wants logoed gear? Please buy from me. And now being in the industry for about 5 years now, it really changes of being looked at as someone who's just like an order taker in a way to someone who you can leverage for all of your branding experience. And you become like a consultant or like an extension to the company that you're working with marketing team. And I love that. And that's what I love about it because now I could take all my past projects, all the items that we created, and with the experience we gave different companies and take that forward to any new client that comes into play. And I feel like that's why people like ordering from Indigo because not only are we going to give you the gear that you need, but we're going to explain how to use it better than you have been using it in the past.
Amazing. Amazing. I love that. Talk to us a little bit about what's a common misconception or one misconception that people often have about the branded merchandising industry as a whole, especially around its value to a business or its potential for innovation, something that you'd like to address there.
I think it's the items you order and the experience you give, the creativity aspect of it is endless and it's just as creative as you make it. It's whatever you think of and whatever you think it can do, but most people don't think like that. For most people it's, hey, I'm going to get 100 pens because I need pens and I need something to give out, and it's very surface level. And that is just the opposite of anything that my company, my team, my clients, that's not how we think. We're very outside of the box of any item. We want to reverse engineer it a little bit and think everything up to the point of giving it to somebody and making them have an amazing experience with your brand. So if someone comes to me and says, I need 1,000 pens, it's not just, all right, we can make that for you. It's what emotion, what feeling are we trying to get out of your end user? What's the goal of the pen? Is it to link it somewhere? Is it to get people to sign up for something? And just having that knowledge, it allows us to create a seamless experience for whoever the end user is, whether it's employees, clients, it doesn't matter. And the second one is just it's quality over quantity. You might be able to get away with a giveaway of one item if it's a banger item and it's just an amazing experience around it versus having something that you're creating 20,000 of that has no value or meaning behind it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, would love to get into a bit of the nuts and bolts with with you here, Ethan, and just talk about your business model a little bit. So, walk us through, and I know our listeners would love to hear this on how you're doing because it sounds like you're doing so right now. But walk us through the offer. How are you generating revenue today with Indigo? What's the core offer really look like, and how are you structuring that for your clients?
So we mainly play in the corporate world, I would say. Corporate and schools are our two biggest industries, and it's mainly event based. So companies who have events, they're always looking for ways to, I would say, just enhance the event and not have to worry about it. Our
Right.
ordering system is very simple, and we always try to break it down for our clients in a seamless way that makes it less about just any having any back and forth. The people that do this stuff, the marketing managers, the HR managers, the people that their role is to order branded merch for events and the company in general, they have a very hard job because although the outcome of having a printed item is super simple, getting to that point is very complicated. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. At any given time, I can ask anywhere from 5 to 100 questions on a project, have email threads as long as a scroll. And people don't really realize that when they're getting into this world. So for us, we just try to keep everything as simple as possible. And I think that's one area that we do better than anybody else, whether it's the ordering, whether it's when we set up an online website for people to order, whether
Mhm.
it's the items itself. Everything is simple, everything is effective, and everything is going to be as clear as possible. And on top of that, it's being different. It's there's so many different people you can order merchandise from, whether it's some random website online that has all these cheap tchotchke like gear, but they're not going to actually add value to the event itself. They're just giving you items, which is opposite of how we think.
So flowing right into my next question here goes exactly where you were. How are you currently acquiring those customers? Are you utilizing LinkedIn, Meta, ads, referrals now that you've been around for quite some time now? What's the most effective way for you?
Yeah, so we've never paid for advertising for Indigo, I want to say. That might be a lie, but for the most part, we do not pay for advertising at all. It's mostly word of mouth, which we're very fortunate to have that, have a lot of people giving us a lot of referrals because we do good work. But on top of that, I love LinkedIn. I leverage LinkedIn every single day. And that's something that's part of my daily five non negotiables, which I think any business owner should adapt. And it's just sending five LinkedIn connection requests or reaching out to people that I haven't talked to in a while, whether they're past clients, current clients, prospects, whoever. It's just having five messages a day. And people will laugh at that and judge that of that's it, please. I could do that in a heartbeat. But that type of stuff compounds. I can't even tell you. There's stuff that I might send out a month ago that just gets responded to. And all of a sudden, it builds this pipeline slow and steady. And it's just a very natural way of doing it so that we don't get overwhelmed, but we also always have something loading up in the background that we know is coming up within the next month or so.
For sure. And that something just pointed out to me there, that word overwhelmed. So what does the sales process look like for you so that overwhelming feeling doesn't happen? So from initial contact with a client to signing a deal, are you handling everything personally? Do you have a team that works with you? Do you have a system in place? How does that look overall?
Yeah, so now I'm fortunate enough 5 years in to have a full team that really can handle a lot of the leads for me and slash with me. So it depends. A lot of it's handled by my VP of sales, as well as my assistant and my client success manager and my coordinator. And with them, I look at myself almost as like the talent where I'm trying to get people in the door. And then I know my team does just an amazing of a job as I would. So then I can almost pass them off, introduce them, make sure that everybody is friends, but it doesn't really require me to be there nonstop. And I was such a bottleneck for a long amount of time in my business of everything had to go through me. I have to do every touch point. I have to talk to everybody. Where it's almost refreshing just to have a team in place that can handle these projects for me. Complicated, non-complicated, but I know the work's going to get done and everybody has a general understanding of kind of what to do. And I'm more of ping me if we have something that requires my level of knowledge, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely makes sense. So speaking of bottlenecks, obviously you pulled yourself out of that, solved that, but what do you feel is the biggest bottleneck right now at the moment? Is it lead gen? Is it converting those inquiries into contracts, delivering orders with the current team size? What would you point that to now?
A great question. I think I have a belief. There's a great theory of constraints video out there by one of my business coaches, Dan Martell. And in it, he goes over the few areas of constraints that can be in a business. And for me, I want everyone, and myself included, to be able to push 100% and bring as many people in as possible without anything getting held up.
Right.
And we really have almost I guess I would call it I guess it would be not really a marketing constraint, but being able to handle that like a product slash production constraint because we can get overwhelmed. If we have 100 projects coming in one day, we're not going to be able to handle all of those to the most amazing ability as possible.
Right.
Something's going to get held up. People aren't going to be touched. People are going to get annoyed that we're not handling their projects as efficiently as we normally do. So for us, it's just bringing more people in slow and steady so that as we build to that level of current projects we're working on, that everything can be serviced to the same capacity and it never gets held up and it never gets just full stop. And we're like, what is going on? Why are these projects not being handled?
Right.
So it's really a product slash production constraint for us, I would say. And we're always working every day to bring more people in the company who are well educated and have a general understanding of the industry to fix it.
Amazing. Amazing. So let's talk a bit about your vision, right? I would love to hear about your top priorities for growing Indigo, right? It sounds like this is ever you're truly scaling this here, yet you've done an incredible job over the past 5 years. What do you see happening over the next 6 to 12 months?
Are you familiar with the word BHAG, Jay? You know what that stands for?
No, I would love enlighten me.
So BHAG stands for Big Hairy Audacious Goal. And I'm
I
a
love
huge believer that everybody, no matter what you do, I don't care what you do, who you are, what country you live in, black, white, Philippine, doesn't matter.
Yep.
Everyone needs to have a BHAG. And for me, I know I could go into a whole paragraph of what I have that I read every day, but it breaks down to creating a $50 million company. And it's not the number that is important. It's just having this massive company that we're doing everything properly and we've turned into a behemoth, but quality has not started to fail. That happens every day with companies. They grow and then the quality just goes
Dwindle.
down.
Absolutely.
And for me, I think getting to that size and proving to myself that A, I can build a company that big, but B, I can do so in a way that the quality doesn't go down the toilet. That
Mhm.
is so important to me. And You asked about the next 6 months to a year, but having the goal of hitting that in 25 years, that helps me boil down the next 6 months to a year because it allows me to set different KPIs and different targets of where we should be to know if we're on track or not on track. So for me, it's growing the team slow and steady and bringing people in who are all A-level talent that can work well with each other so that I know as we grow, we're not that it comes back to the quality. The quality isn't diminishing because I have people that I can rely on.
Amazing. So, hypothetically speaking, here, if you had a genie, snapped his fingers, and it gave you unlimited resources, what are you implementing immediately?
That is a phenomenal question. Let's see. If we had a genie, what would I implement? I think it's so I'm a huge tech nerd. I love trying out different softwares,
Yep.
specifically ones that help me grow Indigo or fix a problem to some
Yeah.
capacity. And there's so many technologies that I don't get to look at on a day-to-day basis because who has the time to do that and then also run the operations of a business?
Yeah.
So I think it would be just snapping my fingers and having all of that tech knowledge implanted in my brain so I can create a priority list of what is most important and what is least important or what falls in the delete zone or the delegate zone or being able to kind of figure out what I need to implement right away or can wait a few years on. That would probably be my snap of a fingers moment.
I love that. I love that. Ethan, it's clear as day that this is your bread and butter. I can see that this is your baby and you're extremely well informed in this space. So, how do you personally see the branded merchandise industry evolving in the coming years? And how are you positioning yourself for that?
Two answers to that. So the first part is I think there's almost like a revolution, and I hate this word, but moving away from what used to be known as like tchotchkes and like random like $1.50 items. There always exist, but I just think people are moving away from that. And
Mhm.
the idea of having no matter what you're doing merch wise, it has to be quality is really coming in. It really is becoming more relevant to any client that I work with. They want nice stuff. And I think the part of that's most important is it's almost like items that will look retail quality as if they could be in like a Target or a Walmart or any store like that, any storefront. That's how people want their merch, regardless of what it's for. So I think that's a positive for the clients, like the companies that order from me. It's a positive for us because they'll spend more on wanting quality and it just elevates the industry as a whole because it moving away from the garbage items that shouldn't be created every day that people like me really get grouped in the same category with and pushes us forward into something that is more looked at quality. And the second part of that is just eco-friendly. I think that's such a trend nowadays and it's not slowing down at all. I think companies are becoming very conscious of how items are produced and they don't want stuff that is going to pollute the world and make the
Right.
world a worse place.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. I think everybody can get behind that, especially with the way of the world at this moment. And tell us about something that you're utilizing today, a tool or a resource. Maybe it was a lesson that you had from your past, but what's been a game changer for Indigo?
So my favorite tech item that I use pretty much every single day is called LOOM. I
Mhm.
think any business owner or anyone with a team or just anyone in the world in of business should use it. It's a video app that basically, you could record yourself, whether it's I want to send you a personalized video of just my screen and it's recording me like this, or if I want to record my work and show a team member how to do something. It's just something that I'm always clicking on, and it's just an amazing app. And I just feel like people don't know about it as much as they should. So it's a very simple thing to use, but things like that I just love finding because they make my life so much easier.
Yes. Yeah. No, I personally use Loom in my day to day. I do not know how people can go without it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's effective, and it's especially when you have a team that you're working with to be able to provide information. Then once that's recorded, it's recorded, so everybody can utilize it. It's
Yes.
cool. It's a resource. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. There, Ethan. I just got two more questions for you. I always love these.
Yeah.
Ending it off with these two questions. The first one of the two is going to be, what is the best piece of advice that you have personally received about scaling a business?
Yeah, so this is from my coach Dan Martell, and this is phenomenal advice for any entrepreneur. People build companies wrong, and how you're supposed to do it is you build the team builds the business. You
Yes.
don't build the business yourself. The team builds the business. And it's such a fact, and I see it every day in my day to day when I have people on my team who are just incredible, do their job, go the extra mile, make sure everybody's happy, and just really care, Indigo just everything is just on the up. And the counter to that is true as well. If you have C players who don't care and they don't really want to make people feel good or happy, then your company goes down. And just that one line I feel like is imprinted into my brain because now all I'm thinking about is how can I get more people to hop on the Indigo board and really do some damage here? Like just make a difference and just come on. And they're educating me on stuff. They're teaching me how to do things and just bringing people who are a talent that want to change the world and change the brand and merchandise industry.
I love that. And then last, to round it out for us and our listeners here, what's a piece of advice that you can give to our listeners, especially founders that are just starting out or founders that want to get into a niche market like branded merchandise?
I would say it's so difficult to pick something. Like that's really where I struggled in college to pick what my niche was going to be, what my industry was going to be, because I just feel like there's so many options nowadays, and you have all these YouTube ads that are saying learn how to sell an Amazon product. And
Yep.
it's stuff like that constantly. I do think the tough part is picking, but the only way to pick is to test stuff out. You have to test stuff out every single day. You have to constantly looking for problems and things that you can solve or things that you might have an expertise in. And even if you don't, I started merchandise from scratch and we've been able to grow it to pretty good length so far. So I think just having that courage to pick something and trust that if you spend time on it and spend your every day on it, you're going to get better and you're going to figure it out along the way. And it's okay for you to start something and have it be something completely different and then it dramatically change over time, which is exactly what Indigo did.
Amazing. Ethan, your passion is infectious. I know our listeners are loving it. I know I'm loving it, and truly just grateful that we're able to have you on the show. So with that, thank you so much for that piece of advice. I know a lot of our listeners are going to take that and take advantage of it, which they should. But that does wrap up another inspiring episode here of Founders Future. Do want to thank Ethan again. Just an incredible journey so far and sharing your insights with us. I know you're going to do some big things in your career, and we're excited to follow you along. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.